Welcome back to the Hillbilly RV channel. Today, I'll be working on this Onan Cummins generator. It's a 4,000 watt. It is a model 4 KYFA 26100 Spec P. Now, if you're ever working on your Onan generator and you need any parts for it, and you need to call an Onan dealer or a Cummins dealer, you'll have to give them that full model number with the spec. The spec is the last letter. That's the most important part, because this model generator may be made for 20 years. And you know what? They're probably getting pretty close to that now. I'd say 15 maybe. They've been making these models. So when they make revisions, they give it a different spec number. So be sure to include that spec letter at the end of the model number. And it never hurts to have the serial number ready too, because sometimes there's a serial number break too, even in a spec. So this customer elected to take this generator out of the motorhome and bring it to me. His complaint was it would start and it would run, I think he said, for about 7 or 8 seconds and shut off. That's a little odd, because I mean that's a pretty common problem with Onan. You start it, and usually as soon as you let go of the start button, it dies. And that's usually says it's not making power, because Onan generators will not run if they're not making electricity. Now, some of the others, say Generac, yeah, they'll run all day long and not make any electricity, but not Onan. As far as I know, that's the way they've always been. If they're not making electricity for whatever reason, they'll run if you hold the start button. They'd run all day. And actually, the newer ones, the starter kicks out. So it's actually a good way, you know, if you think it's, you know, if it starts and dies as soon as you let go of the button, if you want to get your meter out, put your meter on it and start it, and you can hold that button and check to see if it's making any power. Because you know, even if it's not making 110 volt, 120 volt, whatever, AC power, if it's making like 30 volts, that may help you diagnose it. So I don't know exactly what we're going to find on this. A gentleman wanted me to access the brushes and check the brushes, and that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm not sure what's going on, but he was telling me that when he was removing the generator, there's a big old, I'll show you here in a minute, there's a big old, like a 20 pin connector in there. And he said, a couple of those wires needed resoldered back in that connector. I'm like, what? So I don't know whether he pulled the wires out or what, I don't know. I kind of looked at it there a while ago before I started the camera up. I tugged on some of the wires and couldn't find any loose. So I might have to check with him on that. But yeah, we're gonna get started here. And before we get started, hey, there's all kinds of stuff going on down here in the links in these show notes on these videos now. Post office boxes, if you want to mail me something, email, if you want to email me, email addresses, if you want to email me something. My Amazon link, I'm continuously adding stuff to that Amazon store, so you may find it useful, may not, I don't know, but go check it out. And don't forget to give my videos a thumbs up. Share them with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, all that fun stuff. So we're going to get started here. We're just going to tear right into it. The gentleman, he brought me the generator just like you see it here. And now this, I thought this was pretty good. He drained the oil, but he didn't have any oil to put back in it. So he made up this sign, no oil. And he put it right here, right in front of the start button, just in case I decided I wanted to start it, I'd know it didn't have any oil. Well, I have added oil so I can throw this away now. See, y'all don't realize, a lot of stuff goes on behind the camera too that you never see. Yeah, like I say, he brought it to me just like this. There's no bolts in this cover. I guess he didn't trust me with the bolts. And In order to do anything to this generator besides, you know, change the oil, maybe work on the carburetor or change that board or something, this cover that big old green cover has to come off. In order to get that cover off, this generator has to come out of the motorhome. That's why the customer removed it from the motorhome and brought me the generator to work on. Because he just didn't want to pay me to come over and take the generator out. And yeah, when he brought it to me, the way he was talking, he may want me to come back and put it in. I don't know. He thought it was a pretty big deal. I just want to look at this board, see if I can see anything burn up in there. You know, it's under that. Everything's under that jelly. I know that's got a name, but I forget what that jelly is. I don't see anything, but that don't mean nothing. Because now Onan, several years ago, thought it was a good idea to put all the electronics in one package here. This is your engine control board. This is your generator control board. This is your voltage regulator. It is all right here. And this dude is pricey. And you know, it's an electrical part. Once you buy it, it's yours. So I'm going to inspect these brushes. I don't really expect to find anything wrong with brushes. Like I told the customer, I said, I think I've replaced brushes, you know, worn out brushes in a generator maybe once or twice in my 25-year career. You know, usually it's right here. You know, back before, you know, when the engine and the generator control was on one board. Well, I guess not really the generator control, but the engine control was on one board and the voltage regulator was on another one. If these things were not making power, first thing you done was change that voltage regulator. About 75% of the time that fixed it. Because there's really no test procedures for this electronics that I'm aware of. Now, I am not an Onan certified dealer or a technician. I was a long time ago, but I just decided not to renew that, and so I have to buy my parts. I work with a local Onan dealer here, and they cut me a little bit of slack, but I'm basically paying retail for my parts. And so I don't really like working on these things anymore, just because, you know, I just don't like, I mean, that thing is over $500, you know, just because it comes in a green box. It is over $500. And I think even if you just got like a standalone voltage regulator, I think a voltage regulator is like $300. If you have to buy a carburetor, if you can get it, these things started becoming obsolete way before Corona. So if you can get this carburetor, it is over $300. It's ridiculous. You can get a carburetor for a Briggs & Stratton lawnmower or something for 50, 60 bucks. Because this one comes in a green box, it's over 300 bucks. So got to take a lot of stuff off to get to those brushes. Everything on this end has to come off, all this plastic, probably the air filter, the flywheel's gonna have to come off. I know I've talked a long time, but I'm gonna get started working now, so y'all pay attention, because I'm not gonna say there is or not, or is not, but there might be a test at the end, so pay attention. Take this air filter cover off, see what's back in there. If you're ever going to work on your Onan, make sure you got a full set of Torx tools, because practically everything on an Onan is Torx. You know what, I bet you $1. I may not have to pull the generator completely off the pan, but I bet I'm going to have to take it loose so I can raise it up enough to get all this plastic off so we can get to that flywheel. They never make this stuff easy. Maybe we won't have to take it off the pan, but we're going to have to take a lot of stuff loose here. So Yeah, I'm gonna get some of these. Bolts out. You ain't gonna be able to see them bolts anyway, but if you're doing this, you'll see them. I'm gonna get some of the bolts out, and then I'll be right back. All right, I got all the bolts I could find. There's one down here that was kind of hidden. You had a bunch of wires on a ground bolt. Had to get that off. And now all this wiring harness over here, I think is not going to allow us to completely remove this plastic cover, but I think we'll get it over to the side. Now, will it come off without taking the generator off the pan? Let's see. We're going to have to at least take the fuel pump out. And, well, I know one thing. It's one of them days here in southern West Virginia where it is too hot to work. I don't know what the temperature's supposed to be. It's supposed to be in the low 90s with crazy humidity. And I don't know what it actually is, but man, it's miserable. And I'm inside this garage, cement floor and everything. You know, it's cooler than it is outside, but geez, it's hot. So get that bolt out of that fuel pump. It's got one bolt and then one little tab thingy that you kind of put the fuel pump in there at an angle, stick the tab in that little receiver, and then put the bolt in. That holds everything together. Let's get that fuel pump pulled up there all the way a little bit. Now, oh, of course not. All right, that means I'm going to at least have to pull 2 of the bolts out of that pan, or we can just hopefully just rear this generator up enough out of the pan to be able to get this cover off. Well, that's what I hope anyway, so I'll work on that and I'll be back. Took the center bolts out of 2 of the mount bolts and Torx, of course, so make sure you have Torx handy when you're working on an Onan. So now we're going to see if we can pry this up enough here to get this plastic off. Now there's going to be a bolt, I forget. There's a big old honking bolt down here, at least 1, maybe 2. Yep, 2. I guess it's just a safety. So if the motor mounts ever fail, the generator won't fall out. I don't know. Where's it going to go? It's inside of a case, but they're underneath too. The motor mount bolts or the mount bolts that I took out are both underneath the pan. One on this side, one on that side. Now I got 2 of those limit bolts to get out. And of course, they're going to be Torx as well. I believe they're going to be the same size as the motor mounts were, or the mount bolts, whatever. Not really motor mount bolts. Yep, same size. While y'all wasn't looking, I broke out some air tools. You get tired of ratcheting on that stuff by hand sometimes. I got to raise this back up a little bit. Well, I had it a while ago. Gets kind of precarious when you do stuff like that. Yeah. It's just a limit bolt. To keep it from going too far, I guess, if the mounts break. Number 2. Now let's get this thing back down here where it's not so precarious. see if this will raise up enough now. Ouch. Man, there's a sharp burr on that crowbar. Ta-da! That's all we needed. Just to get that plastic out of the way so we can get this flywheel off here. So mission accomplished. For some strange reason, it seems like everything on this generator is a standard. So I don't know. I thought Onan had been metric for a long, long time. Maybe I'm getting it confused with Generac. So unless something's changed, Generac generators made right there in Whitewater, Wisconsin. Yeah, Whitewater, Wisconsin. And yeah, I mean, back when I first became a Generac dealer, I mean, everything was made right there. They poured their own engine blocks. They stamped their own sheet metal. They wound their own armatures, stators. I mean, they did it all. I guess, you know, maybe they bought some components. They bought the carburetors and starters and stuff like that. But the bulk of them were made right there in Whitewater, Wisconsin. I thought that was pretty cool. This shouldn't be that tight. Tighter than that. Have to get a different tool. I bet this will bring her off there. Get going the right direction. Oh yeah, I figured as much. Oh, and these are not usually all that tight, but use a puller. Don't just go prying and a beating and a banging and stuff. Just get you a puller. I'm pretty sure as soon as we get this flywheel off here, we will have access to the brushes. I hope. See what size bolts these puller holes take. So far, none of the above. I don't know whether it's going to be metric or standard. I guess it's going to be standard since everything on this thing so far has been standard. I don't think I have any standard bolts in my set here. I believe it's going to be 1/4 inch coarse thread. I got 1/4 inch fine thread in here. I'll go get some bolts. Oh, nope, not 1/4 inch. 5/16 maybe? Nope. It's going to be metric, I guess. I'm not even sure them holes are tapped. Be honest with you, they'd have to be tapped, wouldn't they? What's the point in putting puller holes on if you're not gonna put threads in them? All right, I'm gonna do exactly what I told you not to do. I'm gonna pry, hit on it, see if it falls off. Get the appropriate size pry driver, put a little pressure on it, just see if it pops off. No, it's on there a little bit better than that. Pry on a little bit, shock it a little bit, see what happens. And if y'all catch this flywheel if it goes flying now. You hear me? This is not the way to do this, I'll tell you right straight up. This is not the way to do this. Whew. Yeah, because I'm about to pull the generator off the box. I can't believe cannot believe. Let me get something spraying them holes. I swear, it doesn't look like there's any threads in there. Maybe that's why I can't get a bolt in. There's so much stuff goobered up in them holes that I can't get a bolt in there. Huh, them holes are smooth. There ain't no threads in them holes. Ah, that's awesome. So I guess you're supposed to have 3-sided bolts to put in them holes and run threads. Have y'all seen these? I know you probably have. See, it's actually a 3-sided bolt. It's what they will use it's a self-tapping bolt. And they'll use that a lot of times in aluminum. And these are those mount bolts. So yeah, they'll cut threads and put the bolt in at the exact same time. So that's what they wanted you to use here. I don't have a bunch of 3-sided bolts. I guess I could tap them on. I guess I could tap them. I guess we could. See if we can figure out what size tap they want to use here. I'm really thinking 5/16 18. Yeah, I believe so. That's a coarse thread. That is a coarse thread tap. So those bolts I had a while ago would have been perfect. So put our tap in the little holder thing in here. And put the pry driver in our flywheel, keep it from turning. And that's the wrong direction, but yeah, I don't think we're going to be putting that much pressure on it. Make sure you get your tap started straight. Wipe the sweat off the end of your nose before it drips off. Yes, probably should be using some lubrication on the tap. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just run this tap in enough to get a few threads in here so I can pull this thing off. Now what I don't know is how much room there is behind that flywheel. I don't want to run that tap through there and hit something vital. Okay, I felt some kind of resistance there, so we're going to quit. We're going to quit while we're ahead. Hopefully that hole bottomed out. I hope. Here goes number 2. Okay, we're going to quit right there. Got most of that tap up in there, so we should have a good, well, let's see here. Somewhere between a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch threads up in there. That ought to be enough to pull that flywheel off there, because like I say, it's not going to be that hard to pull off there. But when you're prying and beating on it, you're not doing it straight. You're pulling crooked. And that just never works. That's why when you use a puller, at least you're pulling nice and straight and even, and things just work so much better. That's why they invented pullers. So you can pull stuff off evenly, not beat and bang and tear stuff up and all that kind of nonsense. When you start scraping your knuckles on the fins on the flywheel, you stop. So I don't think those holes bottomed out either. So I hope I haven't run back there and hit anything vital. I guess we're gonna find out here in just a minute, ain't we? Now, go get those bolts I had just now. I'm gonna blow them holes out a little bit. Y'all watch your peepers. Squint. Man, that made a lot of metal flake. All right, now y'all really watching peepers. Woo! Ow, that hurt my ears. Goodness gracious. Man, that thing really whistled when I blowed up in that hole. I guess them holes do bottom out. Holy moly. Well, let's see how we did here. Oh, mama. That's what I'm talking about. This is a steering wheel puller, but it usually works for anything I want to pull. Pulled a lot of flywheels with this thing. Maybe it's a steering wheel slash flywheel puller. I don't know. Try and get these bolts all in there about the same amount so that you're pulling evenly. All right, we've already had that discussion. All right, let's see what happens here. Woo, that thing tight, boys. Man. That's stupid tight. I better put washers under them bolts because it's trying to pull through the puller. Man, why is that thing so tight? That is stupid tight. Because that little 3/8 impact, it's got some juice, man. Yeah, that little snap-on 3/8, I don't have any idea what model number it is. Oh, there it is. Is that the model number? MG. Can you see it? I'll tell you what, that is a heck of a little impact. Like I say, that thing hits as hard as some of the old 1/2-inch impacts we used to have. That thing takes its job very seriously. That was a good buy. My cousin Matt, he's a snap-on dealer. And no, that don't mean I get free tools. He might cut me a little deal, but I don't really think so. And it doesn't matter, because I've worked on his snap-on truck a few times. Well, once I guess, maybe twice, on the propane system. I didn't cut him any slack either. No, one thing, as hard as that thing was pulling, I'm gonna run them bolts in as far as they'll go, I reckon. I'm gonna get a 1/2-inch socket. And no, I'm not gonna run them in with the impact. Looks pretty even. All right, let's try this again. Might should put something in there behind that pusher bolt though, so I'm not pushing around the end of that crank. Yeah, I'm just gonna slide a washer down in there behind that pusher bolt, so I'm not pushing around the end of that crankshaft. Or I ain't the crankshaft, I don't reckon. The rotor shaft, I guess, not the crankshaft. All right, well, we'll see what happens now. Golly. Woo, it comes. Nothing broke. That's always good. Man, we wasn't gonna pry and beat that thing off there. Not in a million years would we have pried and beat that thing off. Holy moly. That sucker was tight. So here's what we come for, was this brush block. And I can tell you right now, the brushes are bad. See these wires, see that's going, I hope you can see that. That's going down from the wires, the brush block, down to the brush. Well, see there's some slack in that one. Listen back here, it's tight as a banjo. So what's happened is that brush is worn out. It's no longer making contact with the, I believe that's the commutator, or no, the slip rings. It's no longer making contact with slip rings. So let's get that brush block off there real quick. I think the slip rings look funny too. That one, the one that's got the wore out brush, it looks weird to me. So let's get these brushes off of here. Again, it's a Torx. Onan loves them Torx. Back in the day, it kept yahoos out of the generators, but now, good grief, everybody's got a set of Torx. That don't keep nobody out of nothing anymore. Yeah, look at the difference in those brushes. Can you see that? See the difference in brushes? See how long that one is? How short that one is? I hope y'all can see that. Yeah. Well, there's your problem, lady. Man, that thing's been arcing and sparking and carrying on. There's a black ring on that slip ring. That looks weird. All right, well, I'm gonna contact my friendly neighborhood Onan dealer and gonna buy a set of brushes. All that black stuff is just some kind of residue. So what we'll do is when we get our new brushes, we will take I'll probably start with the ink eraser. Anybody out there remember ink erasers, pencil erasers? So I'll start with a pencil, or I'll start with an ink eraser, and we'll clean those slip rings up, and then we'll go to a pencil eraser and we'll finish them up. And yeah, I mean, you could probably use emery cloth or something like that, but I've just always used an eraser. You know, if it's really bad, I'll use an ink eraser, and then I'll come back with a pencil eraser. So I guess that's going to be it for right now. So I guess this is going to be a two-parter. So this is part one. If you want to see what happens, come back for part two. So I'm going to go up the road and fix another one. And that's not true. It's 4:15 in the afternoon. I'm done for the day. So I'm going to the house. And y'all have a fantastic day.